A few of us speculated that it might be a campfire or perhaps someone else camping nearby. However, as we continued to watch, the light seemed to move, almost as if it were floating. It was peculiar. We decided to ignore it and focus on the stars instead. After a while we returned to the cabin and everything seemed normal. We continued with our night, talking and laughing, but that strange feeling of being watched lingered. At some point I stepped outside again, hoping to shake off the unease. This time I noticed the light was much closer, almost at the edge of the forest. It flickered once more before disappearing entirely. I felt a chill run down my spine and hurried back inside. I didn't mention it to the others, not wanting to alarm anyone. The rest of the night passed without incident, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was out there, watching us from the shadows. One of the friends of the girl who was with us started saying that what he saw was a woman, and he said it with enough agitation for us all to understand that it wasn't a joke, while trying to keep us calm and avoid panic. We all, as calmly as we could, left the area, acting as if nothing had happened. The walk back to the cabin was unusually long, about 10 minutes. But in the end, the 9 of us returned. Once inside, we locked the doors and continued socializing. 2 guys went out and stayed chatting nearby, close to the door. It was around 3 in the morning. I was sitting on the couch right next to the back door of the cabin, talking with a friend. There were 7 of us inside when suddenly my friend interrupted me with a "What was that?" He immediately stood up and opened the door, letting in a particularly cold breeze, while he illuminated a small part of the forest with his phone's flashlight. At the same time, one of the guys outside was also asking what was happening. Both had heard something, apparently coming from the same place though different. The guy outside heard a sound like static, similar to what radios make. My friend, the one with me, said he heard a loud, very loud step on the leaves, but not a normal crunch, more like someone or something dragging on them. When they came in and told me this, I was obviously uncomfortable. And this feeling grew when I realized someone was missing from our group. I started to feel very scared since we were extremely exposed in an area without people around, no phone signal, and that added to what had happened earlier in the night. When we all realized there were only 8 of us and in the seconds we reacted to who was missing, we noticed something. The cabin had a sort of bunk bed that was completely dark as it was attached to the ceiling and could only be accessed by a ladder. That was the moment when a noise was heard coming from there, from the darkness, and then one of the guys came down, claiming he had been asleep since midnight. As I mentioned before, 9 silhouettes walked to the clearing and 9 came back from there. We didn't know who we were with, but we couldn't sleep all night. At dawn, the cold was unbearable, so we decided to bask in the sun in the clearing. There, we had 2 more surprises. That post, the one in the middle of the path, didn't exist. There was absolutely nothing, despite the fact that everyone who was there without exception agreed they had seen it. As we were discussing this strange event, we also realized that the light we had seen the night before was no longer there. We couldn't understand what was happening, and the more we talked about it, the more unsettling it became. Despite the daylight, a sense of unease lingered among us, making us question everything we had experienced. We decided to pack up and leave earlier than planned, feeling a strong urge to return to the safety of our homes. As we made our way back, we couldn't shake the feeling that something inexplicable had occurred, something beyond our understanding. Even now, as I recount this story, I feel a shiver down my spine, reminding me of that eerie night and the mysteries that remain unsolved.